Hello, hello, I'm Kads, and welcome to another raid video for today. It is once again another double upload kind of day. I already did a video covering the new challenge tournament in the game, the Spider's Den Dark Elf tournament, but we know what you guys care about. You care about the POGO event going on, the one that we've been prepared for like a week and a half or so. So POGO, pull one, get one, as I like to call it, just means that if you get a legendary from the specific shard type, in this case ancient shards, you are guaranteed to get an extra one that cannot be a dupe of the first one, but it can be a dupe of something on your account. Now, the reason that I am participating in this one is that we are in a unique position relative to Mercy, as we'll talk about in a second, but also, as you can see here, we have a ton of shards to spare, and so we are looking for rares now because of the Lady Mikage fusion, the permanent fusion, as well as some new epics in the game. So there's lots of reasons to pull. But while we're here, let's take a look at the overall shard count on the account. So we're at 550 on the ancients, soon to be slightly lower than that, 289 on the voids, 9 on the primals, and 67 on the sacreds. Hopping over to the Mercy tracker spreadsheet, which will be linked in the description box down below if you guys want the base form of the sheet to work on and tracking your Mercy for yourself. Or I do recommend also that you can use the tool RSL Helper, which can track it for you as long as you open shards while the game or the client is open. But I digress. So the focal point for today is of course on the legendary line for ancient shards. We are 52 shards away from entering Mercy, and then once you're in Mercy, you are guaranteed to get a legendary within the next 20 shards because it ramps up the rate until it just comes up to 100%. Usually speaking, it does not take you all the way out to 220. It's usually 210-ish. But the main takeaway here is that in my particular situation, there's a maximum of 72 ancients in order to guarantee that we get 2 legendaries, which is a absolutely phenomenal deal. And speaking of good deals, who would be a good deal if they popped out of these shards? Now, in this case, because we are going to get 2 legendaries, I went ahead and doubled the legendaries on my wish list for this session, and I also took the liberty of reprioritizing my wish list from the most desired to the least most desired. Whatever, you get what I mean. So at the top of the list, we still have Valkyrie. She would help me the most because that's an upgrade to my Demon Lord clan boss team. I could build a different team that can be fully auto, which would save me a lot of time, particularly on Ultra Nightmare and Nightmare every day. Still in the market for Poison Explosions because they would help me in 3 different dungeons right this second. Even though there is potential to convert to hard mode if I get other champions. Bad El Khazar is actually number 3. I don't think I've mentioned it before on the channel, but he would be an improvement over Uragrim for potential Ice Golem and Dragon scenarios. Molly Tankard, still there on the list, brilliant for Hydro, but also going to be useful in Arena. Lord Chanfort, haven't mentioned him much, but he is probably the best legendary in the game for Iron Twins, just because of his passive being able to place decreased speed essentially every time he's hit. And if we're talking like that's for PvE, and if we're talking for PvP, then Harima, because I would love to be able to neuter all of the ignored defense champions that I just do not have in the game. So all the Georgids and the Barons and whatnot, just love to just cut their damage in half and also be able to provoke Duchess and kill Duchess very, very easily. So no bias. As far as epics are concerned, Sylvan Watchers, just because I do want to finish out that Faction Guardian. But as far as epics, we've expanded the pool. I'm looking for anything and everyone from the Lady Mikage fusion for the, at least for the Kira the Watcher and the Tatsu half of it. But I would also take, I think this is Lockwain or something. Yeah, Lockwain. I would take him as well. That way I could skip the rares, but I don't think that's going to happen. So I will definitely take the 2 rares here, previous fusion rares. And obviously we're not going to get any voids from this session because we're pulling ancient shards. Okay, so let's get into the pulls. We've got the space, we've got some cash, and in this case, the only luck we need is quality. We are guaranteed to get a legendary along the way here. So I guess the sooner the better would just allow me to save some shards, but nonetheless, we're guaranteed to get the double legendary, so I'm not too worried about that RNG. So we have Alika here, Scratch's favorite epic in the game. I heard from him and others that she can hit extremely hard, whilst also having the Basher-like ability on a 3-turn cooldown where she can lock all enemies out of their skills for 2 turns. So pretty decent, and she hits hard, so you can build her as kind of a DPS high accuracy hybrid, which can be quite difficult in fairness, or you could just build her for one of the 2 extremes, just build her for full damage, or build her for full CC. There is no champion chase or summon rush going on right now, so thankfully we don't have to keep track of any points along the way. I do wish that this was a part of the hero's path, that way we can get some points like a summon rush, but I digress, that is not the case. So there is also no 2x, so I do expect to see a lot of rares, and hopefully we do get the right rare, but it doesn't look like it so far. Pestilus, underwhelming and very confusing champion, I'm not gonna lie to you guys. So he 2 times at random on the A1, so he doesn't even attack necessarily the same target, and it places a leech. It can place a leech. He attacks 1 enemy, and places HP burn, and that's it. And then he can turn meter fill and heal a little bit based on whether or not it lands weird. And then the weirdest combination of all, on a 3-turn cooldown, places increase accuracy, cool, but then increase crit damage. Those are good buffs, but they don't really make sense together because it's not like increased accuracy helps someone do more damage and vice versa. So I don't know what's going on there. It's a weird combination of buffs. It should be increased accuracy, increased speed, or increased crit rate, increased crit damage. Some useful combination of synergistic buffs. 10 pop numero tres, or tres, if I was speaking Spanish properly. Looking like more rare champions. I mean, honestly, we got 2 epics here. 3 epics. Wow, look at that. Like I said, unfortunately, there's no champion chase, so it doesn't really matter as far as the quantity of epics, but we're looking purely for quality here. So Magnar, of course, one of the, if not the hardest HP-based epic nuker in the game with this percussive pound. As long as the enemies don't have HP burn, a very easy condition to meet. Oh, sorry, A2 here is the big smack. As long as there's no enemies under HP burn, which is a really easy condition to meet, it hits twice, and those 2 hits are massive smacks. So really good. Build him in Savage if you can. Lordly Legionary is one of the most like power crept old school Fire Knight champions who has a multi-hitter on the A1 if they're under Halo Reduction, which is useful for the Fire Knight in fairness. A2 places decreased speed, single target, and it decreases turn meter a little bit if the decreased speed lands. And then the super old school meta of if you have reflect damage and the Fire Knight hits you, assuming you survive that hit, that's 5 hits for each of the members of your team into the shield, and so it's just 5 less hits you have to do when you go attack into the shield. Delver is quite interesting because she did receive a buff, I think heal reduction on the A1. I guess she works well with Lordly Legionary there. So single enemy attack here, it can place weaken, and it cannot be resisted if they're under decreased defense. So decent. I think this ability hits relatively hard. And this ability is kind of cool for what it is, but it could be a little bit better in fairness. But it puts increased attack on herself before attacking, and then has a 60, 75, 85% chance of placing AoE decreased defense. And so I think it would be better if they just made it 100% chance. It's on a 4-turn cooldown already. So I think that would just be more than fair to just give her full 100% chance to place decreased defense. Honorable mention to Banshee, who is a rare with an AoE on the A1 and another AoE on the A2. So great for a stun set for those rare only secret rooms in the hard Doom Tower. So this is going to be the 4th 10 pop here. So I guess we are not hitting the good RNG, and we're going to go all the way until we hit Mercy. No useful rares here. And Baroth the Blood-Soaked, I think he heals or something. He has a bunch of things in his kit. So turn meter fill a little bit, turn meter decrease, shields based, and then heals based off the damage inflicted. And then this is just madness. I don't want to read it, but he's not really that amazing. He kind of does a lot of things, but none of them very well. Whatever that phrase is, the jack of all trades, but master of none, or something like that. So he does a lot of things, but he's not really that useful. So 10 pop number 5, and this is where we cross the threshold into Mercy. Are we going to get a bunch of additional rares? Oh my goodness, I finally, this is funny for me at least, I finally pulled a Jizzo. I've literally never gotten a copy of him since the original one from the 14th day in the game. So you can't get him from Sacred Shards, so you have to get him from Ancients. But I've kept him the whole time. I've never gotten a duplicate of him, so that's cool. But yeah, he's not that great, unfortunately. I mean, he's annoying more. He's one of those champions who's more annoying as an enemy. So he comes in here. I think it's this ability where he puts counterattack on somebody, gets an extra turn, comes over and just slaps your team or slaps one of your allies and puts them under provoke for 2 turns. So he can kind of be useful like super early game normal mode Hydra because it is a 2-turn provoke on a 4-turn cooldown. But then when you consider the extra turn here, it might be slightly less than that. Overall, so he can kind of do that job in super early game teams, but realistically you're probably not going to use him in the long term. Okay, let's keep it going. We are now entering hot shards, as Chosen would say. Hot shards meaning we are in full Mercy, full blast in Mercy. We're gonna hit that legendary eventually. Here we go, there it is, and it's Narma the Returned, who is a dupe, and Nekmo Thar, who is also a dupe. Interesting. I I honestly am tempted to build a second Necromothar because he is just that goated in Hydra Clan Boss. Narma is definitely going to be a faction guardian, so that does help me for the Night Revs. I think that makes it 6 out of 10. We can check that together. I mean, Necromothar is also a dupe, obviously, so that helps. I guess both of them help faction guardians. No one from the wish list, unfortunately. And I guess we should mention a little bit of Masamoto, who I feel like I've pulled him so many times. But steals random buff here, decrease attack, AoE, so you can kind of help in faction wars, and then increase defense with the turn meter fill, 4-turn cooldown. Not amazing, but if you do need that kit for faction wars, he could definitely do that job. So there we go. Definitely hit Mercy. I think 60 something shards in and 2 legendary dupes. Let's go check this together while we're at it. Go away packs, please. Go away packs. There we go. All right, faction guardians, lizard memes. And yeah, Necromothar, that is a guaranteed 10% attack. We love to see that. And the Night Revs, I was correct. Yes, it is 6 out of 10. So we didn't get the legendaries that we truly wanted from this session, but we got some useful ones. At least they are both dupes for faction, or dupes of champions already. I guess dupes of a champion already have is redundant, but they help improve our faction guardians, which helps boost the stats overall. Actually, this is quite important because this is 30 accuracy and 30 res for all of my Knights Revenant. So I need to go look at some builds and see if I can improve other stats elsewhere, because that is actually a huge bonus. So Norma, even though I don't use her, that's a very, very big bonus in terms of stats. So I'll definitely take it. Alrighty, so that's going to do it for today's video. I think we walked away fairly victorious. We didn't get the champions we were exactly looking for or the most desired, but we got some good faction guardian bonuses, as well as a duplicate Necromothar who will probably get some play on one of my second Hydra teams. I already used my primary one on Nightmare, so I think now I have one for Brutal. So this is pretty fantastic, and I'm gonna have to think about how to build him and how to incorporate him into the team. Let me know if you guys took part in this POGO event and who you got from your ancient shards. As always, if you enjoyed this video, then be sure to hit that like button and the subscribe button down below for more content in the future, just like this one. Thanks for watching, and have a good one.